Hello and welcome to a new series on this channel. This series will be about a mod pack for modern versions of Minecraft on 1.21, based upon the mod GTC-EU. For those who don't know what that is a mod called GregTech, which originally started out in early versions of Minecraft with a mod called Industrial Craft 2. Today, we'll be doing a solo playthrough of our first episode of this mod pack, working throughout the primitive ages and maybe getting to the Steam Age. Hope you enjoy. Now, a few things about this mod pack, as a lot of mod packs nowadays have obtained. We have a quest book. To go to look at this quest book, you can see we have all of these tiers. We have a lot of work cut out for ourselves. But if we look at our general milestones tab, we are going to be up here in the top left. We're going to be starting actually in front of this a little bit more up here. We're going to be starting in tier 0 with stone. And our first quest is to chop down some trees and get some wood. Now, I'm going to be using Alt Mine to speed this up a little bit. And for those of you who don't know, when using Alt Mine, you can hold down Shift and your Alt Mine keybind, or some of those older folks may know it as vein miner or excavator, and it can allow you to change the shape. So see now, shapeless, I was using small square because it personally helps me mine trees and leaves a little bit faster without mining the whole thing, as I was trying to get a sapling and not soft lock myself. So, I'll try not to lose my sapling here. We'll get some planks, expand the platform. And I will grind out some trees in a basic starting base. I'm going to do a few of these first little quests, and I will be right back. And one more thing. In mod packs like this, I'm going to tab out real quick. So this specific mod pack, in order to get cobblestone in the early game, you shift right click with an empty hand on dirt. This gives you pebbles. These pebbles can be combined in cobblestone. So you can do it in your inventory like this. What some people may not know is you can press K to combine a stack, or if you have two stacks, you can press Shift and K, and it'll combine both of them. Isn't that neat? Now, a few more things. When it comes to making string for a bed, if you wish to sleep in this mod pack, you can use silkworms, which comes from using a crook on leaves, and right-clicking them on leaves, and then breaking those infested leaves once they turn white with a crook will give you string. Now, all materials for electric tools in this pack require rubber of some kind. The main way you get this early game is from rubber saplings, which drop sticky resin. Sticky resin can be turned in an extractor into rubber pulp, and then smelted in an alloy smelter with sulfur to make rubber ingots. Now, late game, we can melt this down into a liquid. Not late game, a little bit later, we can melt this down into liquid and then form it into plates at a 1-to-1 ratio. Or we can bend it, or a variety of other reasons, but we will be with an alloy smelter, which means it'll be a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, even later than that, we can fluid solidify rubber. Now, this becomes a 1-to-1 ratio, versus if we were to do rubber plates doing an alloy smelter, this should be a 6-to-1 ratio. So it becomes incredibly more efficient. It becomes 6 times as efficient using this method. On sulfur, it's 2 times better, and on rubber pulp, it is 6 times better. And the rubber pulp will be used for LV machines. So if we look at Bender, these motors, tin cables, tin wires, rubber sheets, pretty self-explanatory. I need to make some tools, get those water buckets, get a lot more furnaces, get some clay, and then we need to work on our first steam machines, which are going to be probably a coke oven. We're going to make at least 2 coke ovens. Then I want to make 4, maybe 8 of these PBFs. PBFs is how you make steel in early games, and then after that, we can get an EBF. Now, theoretically, you're not meant to do this, but once you get LV, you can make this. This makes one sealing gate in 3 seconds. This is not a proper thing to use with this pack, but the early game steel production is so incredibly slow, I don't mind using it. But for reference, to get steel normally, you smelt it in a PPF with iron and coal. This takes 90 seconds for 1 ingot versus 3. Then once you get the electric blast furnace, it's 40 seconds. Being able to do it for 3 seconds, once you are able to make an LV circuit, is incredibly quick. But enough of my yapping. I'll get back to work. So, moving on from our early game start, we have done a few little things. Now, any of those who have played a Skyblock before, you may know anything about progression, generally in Skyblocks. Majority of modern Skyblocks follow a streamlined progression of cobblestone. You hammer cobblestone to different various cobble byproducts, such as gravel, sand, dust, and then you sift them. This modpack is different in one major way. So we have this multi-block, we have this machine called the Extractinator. Now, this is a Terraria reference, for those of you who don't necessarily play Terraria. So we need, if we look at the recipe, a compressed piece of cobblestone, some planks, stairs, fence gate, flint, and 2 hammers. And what this allows us to do is when we right-click with any of these materials, it will drop the materials listed below instantly into the ground with no power. And this works with the auto clicker. So if I grab some gravel in my trusty wand, so I don't have to build by hand, get our gravel, put this recipe in here, go here, and we use this to auto-complete our crafting recipes, like this. We get our extractor. I grab our cobblestone, and if we press U on this and go to Extractinator, we can right-click, and this should give us iron, gold, copper, tin, a bunch of coal, flint, and stibtonite. So stibtonite sounds crazy, but it's antimony. Antimony is generally used in this pack in the production of batteries and some other alloys, which will be useful later. We can shift right-click this, and like a fountain, it sprays on the ground. And from 41 cobblestone, we get a stack and 22 of coal, which is a 1-to-2 ratio when you smelt it. 64, 15, 64 and 4, 32, 21, 19, 19. And with this, we got our materials. I'm going to take this crucible over here, and I am going to place down some over here and get our first water. You get water by putting organic and compostable materials into an oak crucible, and this will slowly add 4 millibuckets a second, convert it into water. And we do 2 like this, so I can make an infinite water source. And now, we need to make some tools. And for those of you who aren't well acquainted with GregTech, we can use these tools, like this, to craft things. Now, generally, in the spirit of GregTech, almost any recipe that can be done by hand can be done in the machine. So, for example, we have iron plates, like this. We can do it in hand with 2. It's a 2-to-1 ratio of ingots to plates. But if we use a extruder or a bender, there's now a 1-to-1 ratio. And this template follows when we go to stuff like wires. We can do wire, which is foil, which is plates. So this is a 2. This is going to be a 2-to-1 ratio, or a 2-to-2 actually. So it's 1-to-1. If I do this, fine wire, this becomes a 1-to-4. This almost multiplies the efficiency by 8 times, and that is how important using electric machines in GregTech is. But I'm going to do some more crafting, get some more dirt by making this barrel, get lava running, and I'll be back hopefully when we are starting Steam Age. Maybe. Now, I've done some more sieving, and this is how we get redstone. Redstone is either water or sand. Put a bunch of sand in, we get bone meal, redstone dust, rotten flesh, calcite, stone dust, sugarcane, and cactus. Now, from here, we need to make a crucible to get lava. So to make a crucible, We need a unfired crucible, which requires porcelain clay balls, which is clay and bone meal. Bone meal we get from sand from the extractinator, and clay we get from breaking clay blocks. I have a stack of clay blocks that I just made with this little fancy contraption here. And to do that, we put dust in a wooden barrel with water, and we get clay. So now we can take 8 or so blocks of this, place it down, break it. We can grab half a sack of bone meal, some clay balls, combine it together, and just like that, we have 4 unfired porcelain crucibles. Now I can go over here, shove these in here, and while I'm doing that, I am going to be taking this time to discuss a few little things. Sorry. So, I have one major gripe with this mod pack, and that is the fact that it uses a mod called Simple Storage Networks. Now, Simple Storage Networks, for a lot of use cases, is perfectly fine. So, Simple Storage Networks is normally obtained in LV with the Simple Storage Network controller. This recipe is fine. The problem is that Minecraft has something called MBT data, and what that means is there is hidden little strings of data such as durability, how it can be used, etc. And Simple Storage Networks, as far as I remember, especially in this mod pack, has had the issue whenever you use a tool that has MBT data, it will consume the tool or not pull the tool into the crafting grid. And that makes progression incredibly annoying. So, what I will be doing once I get to the point where I'm able to make the Simple Storage Network, I will be crafting in these, and then I will be spawning in toms, cheating. Now, there's no achievement, there's no end game. This is purely for ease of use. And the reason I do this is because in this mod pack, you play on peaceful. Now, diamond's achievable. Nether quartz achievable. Redstone torches are achievable. Stone's achievable. Problem is ender pearls. In this mod pack, hostile neural networks, which some other known as mob simulations, all plethora of names. The only way to get ender pearls is the Enderman data model, which is an HV. That is 2 voltage tiers after you get the storage. And without this block, without the inventory connector, there is no way to connect terminals. Glowstone is also a major problem because it requires ore processing of redstone ore, which requires MV. There's another way to get glowstone, I believe, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But as of right now, we'll just be using chests. We will be upgrading to diamond chests, gold chests, iron chests. Right now I'm just melting up a bunch of materials. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of ingots here, ores, and I'll be crafting up some lava. I'll make some hoppers, get a few buckets. And in this pack, we can use a lightning rod, which is just 2 copper dollar plates and a copper rod. And that is 6 ingots of copper. So I will grab, we need 6 times 4, that's 24. 24 right there. Grab this. We actually need to upgrade this to 4. Go here. Craft 4 like that. 7 like that. Like that. And that. Like that. We have our lightning rods. And then I will go over here. Go like that. Grab some cobblestone. See how quickly this converts. And just like that, we have a bucket of lava. So early game, I'm going to be trying to use lava for our fuel source. Specifically for production of fuel for steam boilers. Because steam boilers, so liquid boilers, have doubled the burn rate at the same tier. The only difference is this one uses a bricked hull and uses glass. And so this is 15 to 30 and 12 to 6. And also, lava burns for an incredibly long time compared to the other fuels. So it's much more efficient. It used to be you did large bronze boilers, which is a multi-block, which is just a big boiler. And then you fed steam turbines for your power and low voltage. But not necessarily the case anymore. I will get to that when we get to LV. Not this episode, maybe next episode. My goal for today is to get coke ovens and maybe the PVF. We'll see about making an LV circuit. I'm not quite sure. I don't want the video to go too long, but we will get to that in a minute. And like that, we have made it into the steam age. So now we need to make bricks. So bricks are a little weird. I'm going to try to make 16 of them for machines. So I need a stack of bricks. I'm going to make a saw and a knife, which I'll make a wrought iron saw and a wrought iron knife. Pretty simple recipes. Then I'll take 16 blocks of clay. We will form these bricks with this mold, make compressed clay. Yes, melt these bricks, come in with a bucket of water, make a brick box. Pretty simple. I will go do that real quick. And like that, we have the compressed coke oven bricks to make our coke ovens. Now, generally, coke ovens, or multi-blocks in this mod pack, whenever you right-click on what we call the controller in the multi-block, the heart of that multi-block that controls recipes, you can see how fast they're going. It shows you statistics as well as running recipes. This is 4 iron plates, 4 coke oven bricks. Coke oven bricks are from compressed coke clay, which is sand, simple enough, hammer gravel, which comes from cobblestone, and clay, which we already discussed earlier. Combine them with a form, then you smelt them, then you craft them together. Currently I'm crafting a metric ton of ingots, so I'm going to let those craft through. Then I'm going to make our coke clay. I'm going to go ahead and make our controllers. And then we're going to end the episode off there. And then next episode, we'll finish Steam and possibly get into LV. So I'll be right back once I am near done with that and hopefully ready to finish the episode. And like that, after placing them, I queue some more stuff up. These are ready. So if I go here and grab coal, shove this in here, this will now make creosote oil. Now, creosote oil is important for treated wood. Treated wood is used for some things, particularly I believe it's used for the controller. No, it's used for the primitive pump. However, treated wood is also used for other things. It's used for treated wood frames. I believe it is also used for something else. Pump. It can be burned. I swore there's another use for it, but I could be delusional. Treated wood. Treated wood. You can, yeah, right, you can make pipes out of it. You can make these pipes that can transfer water. Pretty useful. And that'll be definitely useful when we get into boilers, so we can set up water automation so the boilers don't blow up because they have no water for cooling, well, to make steam. Oh, right. We don't need it for steel, but it's marked as a quest. So if you notice here, it's 1 iron ingot, 2 coal for 1 steel, or 1 iron ingot, 1 coke for 1 steel. And it's 15 seconds faster. It won't make the hugest of differences for that long, but generally good practice to use the best recipe if you can. We will see, because generally it's going to be easier to build more coke ovens and double the speed outright than it will be to, sorry, not coke ovens, I believe I said coke ovens, but more PBFs, or primitive blast furnaces, than it will be for that. But with that, I'm going to let these resources smelt up. I'm probably going to grind some more resources. I would like to thank you all for watching. I want to upload more like this if I can, but I do apologize. This is the first video I've made in a very long time. I also do have other responsibilities, but I will try to get out a video maybe once a week, maybe more. Depends how motivated I am and how much free time I have. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode. Bye-bye.